guys, after the week the Browns just went through, how telling was this win over the Bengals? Or are we overlooking it?
It's like Odell hasn't been a huge part of the team this season. And last year in the playoff run, I didn't feel like Odell was that guy. I think Odell Beckham's going to be fine. He'll end up somewhere else. He'll play a role this season. But I don't look at yesterday as look, addition by subtraction. Once they got rid of Odell, they're just fine. I do think there's some players in that locker room who are like, Odell hasn't been anything this year for us. He hasn't been that guy. So, if his dad wants to tweet and LeBron wants to tweet and Marcus Stroman wants to tweet, that's fine. We're going to be just okay. We'll be okay on this one. I thought Baker got healthier over the last couple of weeks. I think Baker looked good. And I think that's a team win that has nothing to do with Odell Beckham. And today, I think there's going to be a lot of thoughts on, look, they're better without Odell. They've been better without Odell for the last couple of years. Odell was not going to play a role in this game one way or the other. This team just outplayed the Bengals in Cincinnati, and it looks like they got their groove back. 5-4, they're right back in this thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm so excited to see the emerging role of Donovan Peoples-Jones. Give him a shot to go out there and prove himself. Yeah. If you look at this team, all they do is really run the ball and play action. So Odell, he's like a guy who needs a couple, receptions to get going. They just run the ball and take play action. So he wasn't really part of that team. I think when he got there, this is the name.
Yeah, it was a huge name, and that boiled down to it. That's why we talked about it so much. I wish they had something every single week where someone's dad would make a video sledding Baker. Because I saw a meme this weekend, all right? And it's the Baker Mayfield cycle, and it's one of these things that goes like this. So it goes, I'm just going to read it. Play like bleep, criticized by media, underdog mentality, beat inferior opponent, call out doubters, play like bleep, criticized by media. It just goes. Yeah. And this was apparently the beat inferior opponent portion of the Baker Mayfield cycle. You knew Baker likes this stuff. He likes to be called out. It's this old-fashioned thing he has where the no scholarship walk-on player comes out and absolutely looks like John Elway. Next week, is he going to do that again? I don't know. This was a resounding walloping of a division rival, which I absolutely respect. Again, we're at this point in the season where I'd say the same thing about the Titans. Sustainability. Are we going to be having this conversation next week about Baker, or does he throw 2 more picks?
Who is it?
I don't know.
The Patriots. Yeah,
okay, well, there you go.
Well, here's the thing. Everything went his way. Nick Chubb's out there averaging 10 yards a carry. He was spotted a pick 6.
Yep.
Things were the weight of the offense wasn't on his shoulders. The defense was fine. There's misleading numbers. I just want to prove out the other side. I don't know if Baker's better without Odell, but nobody does. And
I like where she's going.
Everyone that keeps putting up this stupid, misleading statistic that the 16 games with Odell, right? What it was, the deceptive stats, they're throwing around the 16 games. It was with Freddie Kitchens. 16 of those games were with Freddie Kitchens.
Right.
With come on. All of those games without Odell have been with Kevin Stefanski. If you look at it in the Stefanski area, they're 8-5 with Odell, 14-11 without him. So the narrative that Baker is better without Odell, I don't think we know yet. I just don't think we know because we had a different head coach that clearly turned the entire culture of the team around.
Right. Okay, can I say one thing? Because I agree with you.
Please say it.
Right? She was going somewhere, right?
Tell me.
I want to ask you guys a serious question.
All right.
Do you think the reason why the Browns run the ball so much is because they probably have the best running back in football and Kareem Hunt, the back was really, really good? Or do you think they run the ball that much to protect Baker Mayfield? Not put the ball in his hands. Let's give him a little bit at a time, right? He's a first-round draft pick, right? He's not the best one in his class, so let's be safe. What do you think? Because I'm always asking myself this question.
See, I think Baker can play. I saw about 6 or 7 weeks in a row last year where he did not turn the ball over, did not throw an interception, and destroyed Pittsburgh in the playoffs. He's taken some the last week or so about Odell's right and Baker. And look, Steve Smith Sr. on this network did an entire rant on Thursday Night Football that Odell's leaving because Baker's an average player. I don't personally agree with that. I think he can play. I think they run because that's their philosophy.
What about those big spots, though? Give me that moment that Baker, when he needs to win.
At Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh in the playoffs,
Yeah, I thought he was really good in that game.
That's the only big spot I got.
But how many of them, though, right? This is his 4th year?
Come on.
This is 4th year.
The Browns have had one playoff win in 30 years.
When you say 4 years, you gave me one moment.
Answer your question.
They took him number 1, right?
You asked us. So
Is Baker great? Is Baker great?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think he was the number 1 pick in his class, right?
Yeah.
I think he's the 3rd best quarterback in his class.
Okay.
Right? I don't see it. I think they run the ball so much because they don't really trust him to go out and take on this team. Because the other guys, in his class, the quarterbacks,
Josh Allen, Lamar,
they do it. It's their team. Is it really Baker's offense? Is it his team? Let's say together, no. It's Chubb's team, right? Offense.
But then it's what's his value, right?
What's his
That's
value?
What's gonna happen,
Think about it.
But the money is going to come. It's going to come down to what do you pay Baker Mayfield for what he does with that offense?
Or do you pay him anything at all?
I'm picking up everything she's putting down today.
I'm just whoa. I'm not saying I picked the Browns to go to the Super Bowl. I think they're a complete team.
I mean, listen, all I'm saying is this. With a running game like that, and if you look at the history of football, you can put any quarterback in there to not turn the ball over to do that same stuff.
Case Keenum won the one game he played.
Just think of the history of football, right?
I think Baker's reputation is very polarizing. I think there's a player-fan divide in that, too, that I think is really interesting to talk about tomorrow.
Can we just clip this off and send it to Baker?
Let's do it. That's it.
Right.
Never mind it.
He likes Baker. I see that. He likes Baker.
The ex-players and
against
the
the
current players.
Patriots.
Clip it off. Send. I think there's something there.
Because that's true. I think a lot of the ex-players and current players don't look at Baker the way us fans and media do. They look at Baker as below average, and I think a lot of people look at like the heroicism and like the underdog mentality, and he wins big. But you're not the first.
I like his attitude. He's a hard worker. He fights underdog. Odds are against him. I like that. But that's cool. Let's talk about football. That's just football, right? You put a quarterback in his role to run the ball, good defense, pass rushers. Anybody can do that.
They tried for 25 years to find a quarterback. They were 1-31. And Baker came in, and it's a different organization.
Baker and who else? It's like
a lot of people.
That's
the star quarterback.
Okay.
That's the star quarterback. There's something going on here.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. All the players love Matt Stafford, and the fans are like, Baker Mayfield, you guys.
But that Steelers game you brought up, tell me about Nick Chubb in that game.
Yeah, he was good, of course. It was
Nick Chubb,
he said he was good. He was more than good. Come on.
Did the defense not? But there were like 18 turnovers in that game.
Yeah, they won.
It was a total.
I'm picking everything she's putting down. She's doing it again.
I love you. I'm just passing him the ball.
She's doing it again.